Record.
Okay.
All right, it's recording.
Hi, Suzannah. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, good, good. Today we're starting. We have gone over the answer, and we talked about some of your answers, things that are overdeveloped and underdeveloped. And now I wanted to go ahead and try and do a grounding exercise that seems to go along with, an answer of maybe leaving and wanting to escape distress by disappearing, I guess, in a sense. So I thought maybe grounding would be good. Are you open to that?
Sure.
Giving that a try? Okay. All right. What I'd like you to do is bring up either a real or an imaginary place that when you imagine being there, you feel a sense of calm.
Okay.
Sure, take your time. Bringing up a place, either real or imaginary, that when you imagine being there, you feel a sense of calm.
Okay.
Okay. When you imagine being there, just notice the sounds and sights and how you feel right now. What do you notice?
I notice like a sense of well-being and also curiosity and awe. And I notice like a warm breeze. It's nighttime, but it's like a special place where I can kind of like see like outer space more.
Uh-huh.
It's imaginary and it's a beach, and I just feel like so excited and grateful, and my dog is there with me.
All right. Now, one of the things if you're open to it, I'll do a short set.
Yeah.
Okay? All right. So I'd like you to stay with that sense of well-being, the curiosity, the awe, the nighttime, the warm breeze on the beach.
Okay.
And follow my fingers. Can you see?
Yes. Can you move your hand back a little? Yeah, that's great.
And what do you notice now?
I noticed that in my safe place, I wanted to like get up and explore, which is a good thing.
Okay. Go ahead and what are you noticing now?
I noticed a little bit of like pressuring myself to stay with it.
Mm-hmm.
When sometimes it's hard when I open my eyes to stay with something, but still feels positive.
Okay. When you bring up that calm place, what word or phrase best goes with that?
Joy.
So notice those words in that calm place. Okay, now when you bring up that calm place on your own and that cue word, and notice the shift.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now I'd like you to bring up a mildly irritating issue that may have happened today or yesterday and notice how you feel.
Okay.
Okay. And now bring up the calm place and the cue word and see if you feel a positive shift.
Okay. Yeah, the only thing I notice is that I feel a little irritated that I'm not there, actually.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I do feel a shift.
Okay, now I'd like you to do that again. Think of another mildly irritating issue and bring up the calm place and the word on your own and let me know when you're finished.
Okay. Okay.
So this can be an option during the week if you want to try to notice the cue word in a calm place throughout the week. That can be really helpful to help you. All right. All right. So we're going to shift into finding the targets.
Okay.
Work together. Is that,
Before we do that, if our room ends at 40 minutes, do you want to set up a room or do you want me to do it again? Just so we have a plan.
Yeah. Well, why don't we just do it the way we're doing it?
It's like, okay.
Start it again, yeah.
Okay, that sounds good.
That won't be a break. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, yeah. So please tell me some way you feel limited in your present life or a current symptom or issue that you'd like to focus on.
Okay, I would say, like, it's a little hard to explain, but it's like trusting the bigger picture will work out. So I'm getting caught up in the day-to-day of like wanting, for example, if I'm feeling anxiety, wanting it to go away, or if I'm feeling like really low, wanting it to go away, instead of having trust and patience that it's part of a process. So, and that can cause me to get stuck in really cyclical thinking.
Okay, so I'm wondering what that would look like in terms of what you would like to be able to do. It's like what you don't want to do. You don't want to feel anxiety, and you want it to go away, and trusting the big picture. I'm trying to imagine what that might look like.
It would look like in positive terms, like being patient, I guess.
Okay.
But more than patient, like being, having faith or something, having a lot of trust in myself and other people.
Okay, so you'd like to have more trust in self and other people.
Yeah.
Being able to see the big picture.
Yeah.
In those situations. Does that fit for you, Suzannah?
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me a recent time that would be an example of how this shows up in your life socially.
So, I have a friend who um, wanted to express support for me in a situation with my partner, um, who I'm going through a lot of difficult stuff with and transition with right now. And she actually, I want to use a different one. You'll hear about my partner later in the intimate relationships one. Okay, I reconnected with a friend who like stopped talking to me for months because I texted her the day after her birthday instead of on her birthday. And so we reconnected, and I had like this conversation with her about other stuff, but then now I'm feeling like actually I can't just move past all of that because we didn't address it. And then instead of just like kind of like being patient and waiting and like saying like, okay, I can figure out what I need for myself. I have a lot of anxiety about like I should be more accepting and I should be less judgmental and I should just go along with the friendship instead of like being honest with myself about what I need. So yeah, just like a lot of questioning.
Okay. So
And I think the big picture part of it is like, if I'm really honest with her, then I can come from a really kind place.
okay, so okay. So this present trigger would be having difficulty I guess really being able to see the big picture at that point and knowing what you needed in that relationship, that there was a kind of going along with it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So can you tell me a recent time that would be an example of how this shows up in your intimate relationships?
Yeah, so I guess with my partner and I going through this difficult time of transition, and we're not sure what's going to happen with us, and I keep falling into a lot of like guilt and self-blame, like if I could have done something different, or sometimes like blaming him instead of seeing the bigger picture.
Okay.
Like if I were different, then this wouldn't be this way.
Okay. Can you tell me a time when that would be of an example of how this shows up in your life at work?
Yeah, so with my clients, I was trying to think with colleagues, and I guess it happens a little bit, but more with clients, it's like a lot of second guessing. Like if my kids are struggling, I am wondering, I'll like analyze a lot, like why can't I be different, or did I say that thing wrong, or what what could I be doing differently to create the perfect situation for them? I don't know. Just like thinking and thinking and thinking. And then my first kid graduated last week, and I'm just worrying, like, was she really ready? Having a hard time seeing the whole picture.
Mm-hmm. Okay. As you bring up the worst part of this issue, what is the worst part of it now?
Let me think about that. There's a couple of things. I think it's like the physical anxiety. Like the not feeling safe or feeling jumpy, that kind of comes along with that not feeling grounded in the bigger picture. Like, I'm trying to think of an example. But and along with that fear comes like a lot of self-doubt. Like when I feel very physically fearful, I feel like I have a hard time thinking kindly towards myself. And the feeling that I'm not okay and things aren't going to be okay.
Okay. How disturbing is it now on a scale of 0 to 10, with 0 being no disturbance and 10 being the highest disturbance that you can imagine?
6.
When you bring up this disturbance, what is the negative belief you have about yourself now?
Can you go through some?
Sure. Let me see. I'm not good enough. I'm bad. I'm a failure. I'm worthless. I'm trying to think of things that would go along with some of the targets that you've mentioned. Yeah.
My dog needs to go out, so I'm going to think about it and let him out. Okay. And I'll be right back.
Then want to pause it?
Okay, so I don't know if I'm not good enough fits, but I'll never be good enough. I can feel that.
Okay.
More.
When you bring up the worst part of the present issue and the words, "I'll never be good enough," what is an earlier time you can remember experiencing something similar?
Well, when I was 15, well, hold on, let me think about that. Yeah, this would fit. When I was 15, going to the DMV with my dad, and he was really angry at me. and I couldn't respond.
Okay. And what is an earlier time?
Well, around that time, I was having a lot of trouble with eating issues, like body image issues. And I think that was related to that feeling.
So do you remember a moment in time when you were experiencing those sensations and feelings?
I can't remember a specific moment right now. Just the kind of that time period.
Yeah, that's right. And do you have an earlier time?
Sorry, I'm just trying. I think I can like associate things easily, but I want to make sure they're actually related.
Take your time.
This one's kind of surprising, but it's like when I graduated from 5th grade, and there's a couple actually that are coming up. When my parents got me this teddy bear, and it was like really nice, but I remember feeling like, so like I was always a good student, and some of my friends got paid for good grades. My parents thought that was ridiculous, and like, oh, you just have to earn them. You don't get paid for them. So like it was like, even though I got this teddy bear, I still felt like, I don't know, like this. And then that one's surprising to me because it's actually kind of a moment where I would think I would have felt proud, but I felt like the opposite. Or like something it was like, okay, I know what it was. It was like, no matter what I do, even if I get really good grades and I get this teddy bear, they're not really proud. Like, and then this other time that just came to mind, so that was when I guess I was 10, I think. And then there was a time when I think I was in 3rd grade, so I guess I was 8, when I made my mom this something for Mother's Day, and like I wanted her to cry when I gave it to her, and she's just kind of like, oh, thank you, that's really nice, but she didn't. I thought she would be so touched. And Gail, it's funny because there's so many things from my childhood that I thought were like a lot worse than these things. But this is what's coming up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was like something missing.
These are important. Yeah. Is there an earlier time?
Not that I can recall right now.
Are there any stories that you were told that you might not remember, but that when you think about them now, you can imagine how you might have felt that might have been similar to this issue?
Well, I have a story that I think illustrates my answer, or part of my answer, that my mom actually emailed me about today because my nephew is just turned 3, and my mom said, I remember when you were 3, we were at a restaurant and you turned to a sign and said, does that say emergency exit? And you could read that even when you were 3. And I can't imagine your nephew doing that yet. My guess is that somebody probably told me what it said, and I wanted to impress them.
Okay.
So that feeling of them being like, oh, wow, I can't believe you knew that. And actually, I just remembered a time when I was probably also around 8, when I used to pretend to be like a math professor with my friend, and I was talking about doing trigonometry and like all this stuff. And then I remember her mom pulling me aside later and saying, do you really know how to do those things? And I said no, and I was kind of embarrassed.
Okay. All right. All right. Now, when you think about trying to summarize it,
Gail, can you hold on just one moment? Sorry.
sure.
Okay.
So when you had talked about the time that your friend was didn't talk to you after you had texted her the day after her birthday, and then eventually you had a conversation, and I think that you basically reflected and said, well, wait a minute, I can't move past this, and that you weren't, that in hindsight you had just gone along with it, but you wanted to be honest. How would you like to be able to react, feel, or behave in the future in that situation?
I would like to be less caught up in what I think is like nice or like expectations that I have of what I should do as somebody who's kind or flexible or whatever, and just be able to tune into myself and see what's going on so that I can respond. Like, because I guess it's not worth it to me to have a friendship where I'm being dishonest. So it's like pointless to do that. So yeah, I guess I would like to just think it's like slow down.
Okay. All right. As you think about the trigger with your partner and the difficult time that you are going through and some of the guilt and self-blame that you are experiencing and difficulty with seeing the big picture, what would you like to be able to react, feel, or behave in the future?
I would like to believe in myself more and like I guess I'd like to trust myself so that I don't have the experience of like getting caught in those cyclical thoughts about what I could have done differently. Or like accept where I am now and keep moving forward. Yeah.
Okay. So as you bring up, when you're experiencing a lot of second guessing and wondering and analyzing or reflecting on what you may have done or said right or wrong, said wrong, how would you like to be able to react, feel, or behave in the future?
With clients.
Yes.
I think I would like to be able to like feel more grounded in my body and in my physical experience of being with the person instead of it being so much in my head. And I'd also like to experience that increased sense of trust in myself.
Okay. I think that we're done. I'm not quite sure if I have, I'm just curious if, I don't know if I should go back. I think I probably should end now.
Okay.
I think that we're done with the thing that I'm curious about is whether or not I should have gone back to getting even earlier memory. If I might have waited longer, if something else might have come up so that we really got to the touchstone memory regarding this issue.
And I can float back now and see if anything comes up. I'm thinking of, I mean, it's around the same age, and I don't know if it was earlier or later, but my family used to call me the critic. I think I might have mentioned this on our first call that like somebody would say something and I would be like, actually, it's this. And I remember feeling ashamed. So I'm remembering a moment at the kitchen table with them talking about this and feeling like there was something not right about me. And I think it's like, yeah, it's like part of my answer, you know, to be really smart or curious or like to be really smart, I think, and to like get good grades and everything like that. And that whole thing I said when I was 3, which you did ask me about that thing when I was 3. So that's part of my answer. But then I think the piece was when I felt like I was doing that, when I was the critic, it still wasn't good enough. It was like bad when I was doing it that way. So it was like, felt like I couldn't do anything the right way.
Okay. And what age do you think you were around then?
Maybe 7 or 8.
Anything else that comes up for you?
Around the same time, I remember like when we would go skiing with my dad, he would get really aggravated when we were holding things up. And if we were late getting out of the house, he would, like, I have this memory of being in the car and him just being mad and, like, kind of, like, lecture yelling at us, like, we can't keep doing this if you guys can't be on time. And it was just this very, like, intense lecture that these moments of, like, feeling, like, really quiet, like, that I had to hold everything in and just keep my head down.
How old do you think you remember that around?
Again, I would say probably 7 or 8. So around the same time. And I just had a memory come up of going mountain biking with my family, and my dad said, like, I fell off my bike and then I got up without, like, making a big deal, and he was like, I really liked that. That was really good to see. But I remember it stood out to me because he never said things like that. Of, like, good job, like, falling down and getting back up. Mm-hmm. It was usually like, I just couldn't, I felt like I couldn't make a mistake. And I was probably 9, so that's getting a little older. Okay. 8 or 9, so.
All right. All right, well, thank you. I think what I should have done is, completed that. I think I let that go a little too early. Mm-hmm. And then I would do the, talking about the positive response, because that goes into the treatment planning. So
Do you want me to stop recording?
Yeah, just for a second.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just going to pause for a minute.